Welcome to What Are the Odds? Today we're going to explore the question of whether over your lifetime you should expect average luck, where half of things go your way and half things don't go your way, or whether you should expect something different.
To answer the question, we're going to start out with a coin flip. If I flip a fair coin, the chance, or probability that it will land on heads is equal to the probability that it will land on tails. If I flip a coin twice, there are 4 possible outcomes: heads heads, heads tails, tails heads, and tails tails. Each of those 4 outcomes is equally likely. If I flip a coin 3 times, there are 8 possible outcomes. Each of those outcomes is equally likely. If I flip a coin any number of times, there will be 2 to that number of tosses possible outcomes, each of which is equally likely to occur any time I flip a coin that many times. So let me ask you a question. If I flip a coin an even number of times, am I more likely to get the same number of heads and tails, or is it more likely that the number of heads and tails will be different? Well, for 2 tosses, this is easy to imagine. There are 4 possible outcomes. 2 of the outcomes are the same number of heads and tails, 1 head and 1 tail in any order, and 2 of the outcomes are different number of heads and tails. The coin comes up the same way both tosses. This might lead you to conclude that the probability of getting the same number of heads and tails is equal to the probability of getting a different number of heads and tails. But hold on, let's look at 4 flips. In the case of 4 flips, there are 6 outcomes with 2 heads and 2 tails. But there are 10 outcomes with an unequal number of heads and tails. In fact, there are 8 ways to get 3 of one and 1 of the other. That's right, if you flip a coin 4 times, you are more likely to see 3 heads and 1 tail, or 3 tails and 1 head, than you are to see 2 heads and 2 tails. Take a minute, this isn't a trick. If we flip a coin 4 times, there are simply more possible outcomes where the number of heads and tails are different than the possible outcomes where the number of heads and tails are the same. Since each possible outcome is equally likely, more possible outcomes of a given type means that type is more likely. In this case, more outcomes with a different number of heads and tails than the same number of heads and tails. And this characteristic only becomes more pronounced as you do more flips. For 6 flips, there are 20 outcomes where the number of heads and tails are the same, and 44 outcomes where the number of heads and tails are different. For 8 flips, there are 70 outcomes with the same number and 186 outcomes with a different number. There is a shortcut to calculating the number of outcomes with the same number and different number of heads and tails. It's called Pascal's triangle, and I'll talk about that in a future video. Now let's get back to the question of your lifetime luck.
So you might have started out this video thinking that you'd expect an equal number of chance events in your life to go your way and not your way. What we've just seen looking at the coin flips is if you think of chance events like coin flips, it's more likely that they're going to be skewed one direction or the other. More things going your way than not going your way, more heads than tails, or more things not going your way than going your way, tails than heads, than you are to have an equal number of things go your way and not go your way, an equal number of heads and tails. So what does that mean? Well, it really means that life's kind of not fair. If you've had good luck, you don't need to be looking over your shoulder thinking that the world's about to come get you for the bad luck you deserve. And similarly, if you've had bad luck, there's not a lot of reason to hold out hope that your luck is going to get substantially better because you deserve better luck. It's just that you've fallen in one or the other part of the distribution. So thank you for watching What Are the Odds? Please subscribe, please leave your comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.